Good morning, everybody. I'm so excited to be here for this Wednesday morning Ask Sharon segment. And this week, we're going to be talking about why sometimes, you make the greatest product or you create the greatest service and it just doesn't take off. It's the old build it and they will come mentality. And it's something that, I see it happen a lot. It's happened to me. You think you've done everything that you need to, and people are going to, just want everything that you do, everything you have, and they'll just line up. Well, sometimes today, in today's world, we have so much noise. There's so much noise that keeps us from being able to focus in on what we truly want. And it's important as you start building your business that you understand how to leverage your time and your expertise. And that leveraging is how you're sharing what you do and how are you telling people and are you empowering them to tell others. We talk about systems, the systems that you have in your business. Otherwise you're going to be just building a job that's going to keep you busy. And when I talk to companies that are in that high growth mode, it's very important to understand the strain on the cash flow. So you want to get very successful, but you also want to make sure you don't put too much strain on your cash flow. So for instance, you may have the greatest product and you get an opportunity to go with one of the big boys, like a big box store, Walmart or a Sam's Club, and you get all excited, but then their first order is like for 10,000 units. Well, you have to scramble to get the money together to make those units for them. And then all of a sudden, it doesn't turn out as how their parameters, what they want it to be. And all that product comes getting shipped back to you. So you've laid out all this cash expecting, 10 times the revenue, and the revenue doesn't come. And so it's really important to pay attention to the systems and to grow in a way that's not going to put you at such a high risk that becomes a house of cards. So we're talking about both of these subjects today about, how do you tell the world what you do and how you do it? And that has changed over the last decade. It's changed over the last couple of years. And it's things that I'm working on as we talk about this Play Big movement. Angela and I and my team out of New York, we're constantly working about, okay, so I know how I sold things 4 years ago or 10 years ago, but let's see the best way to get things and let people know that I'm here. And I have this new course that we're going to be launching on the 4th of July, the Play Big Movement course. But how best can we promote that today? Not even last month. I mean, there's so many different aspects. And certainly even as we talk about Facebook, changes within the Facebook advertising opportunities, to making sure that you're up on those kinds of things. And so today we're talking about systems and marketing and the importance of those, because if you can have the greatest product and service, but if people don't know how to find you easily and how to help deliver that to them easily, you're not going to have the success that you want. And so please talk about some, if you have some specific questions, I have some here that have been sent in, but you can add them into the comments. I'm excited to see some new folks today. My regular Karen, good to see you, sweetheart. And then Sal, and Lek, and Heath, excited to have all of you with us today. And this is, it is an interesting subject because a lot of people, their success is through referral testimonials, and that's fantastic. And they continue to grow. But is that giving you the kind of growth that you could have if you used other methods to leverage what you do? The referrals, from my perspective, and testimonials are the best way to share the success of what you do. And it's something that each and every one of you, depending on what your business is, it might be the right answer, might be specific to you in how to do that. We have quite a few questions today from various different directions. I think I'm going to actually go ahead and jump into the questions and then add as I go through, because there's several different topics that they cover. This first question, my name is Robert. I'm a consultant working with physicians to improve operations of their practices. Yeah, a lot of doctors need to know how to do better business. Many of the physicians I work with are the only provider or have one other doctor working with them. I'm at capacity for the number of clients I can take on, but still have opportunities for expansion. But I'm unsure how to structure bringing someone else on to take on some of what I currently do. If I hire someone as a contractor, I feel like there's a risk of them diverting business leads. However, I don't want to take on an employee either. What would you do? Well, Robert, that's a multiple, that's like a simultaneous equation. Sounds like you've got a successful business, so that's great, but it sounds like the business is totally wrapped around you. And so it's kind of like owning a big job and you have the opportunity to expand. And so this is where, last week or the week before we talked about trust, right? Well, trust is really important, and also written agreements. And so if you don't want someone to come in as an employee, then you're really going to hire independent contractors, which means you're not going to be able to control their time. And so if you are in the United States, I don't know if you told me where you live, you didn't. The IRS has certain requirements that would make you treat these individuals as employees, depending on what your requirements are for them. And so make sure you check with your own accountant on what those are. But one of the greatest ways to leverage your business is to have a team of people doing what you do, where you have the opportunity to step in and supervise or be the lead. And many times your clients will be happy because you may be charged at a higher billable rate and you bring in other people at a lower billable rate. And so your services end up being less overall for them because you've been able to bring in people at lower billables. So again, check which system works for you, but that's how you can really expand your business, is to bring other people in to work with you. And when you do that, making sure that you have a work for hire agreement if you're going to use them as an independent contractor. And within that, you can structure an agreement with them that your clients are your clients. It's something that at the end of the day, those things happen in the business world. And I think part of it is respect and maintaining that relationship directly with a client along the way is also very important, because in the world we live in, there's a lot of moving parts, but you are in control of maintaining the quality control of your business, making sure all the communication with the client is through your server, through your information, your systems, so that you have control over the history of the relationship with that client, is also very important when you have other people working on other jobs. But that is, sometimes you have to release a little bit of your own control to be able to expand and leverage your business. So anybody have a comment, jump in there and share it. I have a next question is from somebody whose name is also Sharon, all right, living in North Carolina. And she's created a nonprofit organization to rescue animals that are kept as pets in unhealthy or unsafe situations. The types of animals I work with are usually harder to find new homes for than a dog or a cat. I've rehomed many types of rodents, birds, and some reptiles. Depending on the type of situation these animals are rescued from, each animal is a special project in trying to meet its needs and find a new home. As at this time, I usually have only 2 or 3 animals at a time because they're fostered in my home. I need to raise more funds in order to help more animals, and everyone I talk to seems to love the mission of my organization, but it's very difficult to actually secure donations. Many people donate to local shelters or national organizations with bigger names. Do you think there's a way I can team up with these other organizations who are already receiving funding and having facilities? I have thought about approaching a couple of them, but then think they wouldn't be interested. Otherwise, they would already have these types of animals in their shelters. Well, Sharon, you're presenting a couple of different situations that can be seen as obstacles, but maybe you can turn those obstacles into opportunities. By creating that association with those larger organizations who are better funded, you are providing them an outlet for when they get somebody calling in about a particular type of animal that they don't normally handle, they can call you. Now, when it comes to the funding, part of it is making sure people know what you do and why you do it. If you said you have a nonprofit, so I'm assuming that you have, if you're in North Carolina, so it's a 501c3, so that people have the ability to make a tax deductible contribution to what you do. And so, yeah, there'll be no's. And when you're a little outfit, some people are more hesitant to contribute to that. But the more you get out there, the more the people that you can share with what you do, track what you're doing on social media so people see it, take pictures of those cute little creatures that you're saving. And then each one given a way to support that individual animal and or others like it. You'll start seeing a little bit, and maybe your contributions are going to be at $5 a pop instead of 5,000. But the more you build, every step you take is building your reputation. And it sounds like you have a niche. Your niche is not the typical dog and cat world. It's the other things. I know my daughter had to rehome a bird, and she was very particular about finding the right organization to help her because she wanted to make sure it was, taken care of appropriately. And so by building your expertise in what you do and how you deal with it, you're going to build your notoriety and your expertise and become an authority in that field. Now, you may want to also, you're looking at donations, but you may also want to find other people who are willing to house those animals on a foster basis or on a temporary basis so that you have the ability to expand the services that you can provide by, again, building a network of information from the top, referral sources to get those animals or to be able to help provide that to a larger organization. And then a referral of people that can step in and help you when you have too many animals for yourself to hold. And in doing that, you continue to build your reputation, your expertise, and the more people that you can influence, the more people that can hear about what you're doing, the more donations that you're going to get. And it may very well be that you may want to actually talk to a local pet store. And a lot of times they'll have the Humane Society come in or adoption agencies come in and display cats and dogs there at their shop. So it might be something else that you could do there to, again, to show what you do. The other thing is, I know here we have an organization that has created a relationship with the zoo. And so maybe the zoo can support by taking some of those animals. Look at every stone, but in order for you to leverage and create your success, you need to be able to expand beyond yourself. And that's why it's important to look at those other organizations or other people that can support you in what you do, both from a referral source and the caretaking source. So I wish you the very best. Keep us posted on how that goes. But the more you can share, the more you can show pictures of those precious little animals, the more people that are going to be willing to step up the plate and make a donation. And you may even be able, I know when we were in Africa, my daughter and I adopted little elephants, baby elephants that had been either their mothers had been killed or separated from them. And we donated a certain amount of money to help take care of those animals, the elephants in the elephant shelter. So maybe you can have an adopt an animal program as well. Next question. Hi, Sharon. This is Richard from Tacoma, Washington. I work as a virtual accountant for a handful of small businesses. Several of my clients happen to be hiring in-house controllers at the same time. So I'm looking at losing about half of my workload. Okay, interesting. I would rather team up with a couple of people and hire them out than fill my time up again doing the detailed accounting work for clients. I myself have an accounting degree and have been doing this work for about 5 years, but I am not a CPA. Do you think I need to find a partner who is a CPA for credibility and to make my business more marketable? Well, Richard, thank you so much for that question. And I think it's kind of what we were talking about with Robert on the medical practices. If you truly want to build your business into success, you need less and less reliance on you and more reliance on your business systems. Okay, so I want everybody to listen to that. Less reliance on you actually being present there, and more reliance on business systems. And so the more people that you can bring in to do the detailed work, and then you can supervise it. Certainly you want to make sure you still have that customer contact, as I said earlier, but you're supervising other people's work, then that gives you the ability to leverage your time, and therefore creating those business systems, you truly have a business asset. You own a business, not a job. Now, when you're going to ask me as a CPA, so I'm going to be biased and I'm going to tell you, I think always when you are in this field, you should have either a partner or an association with a CPA, because you might have a client along the way that needs the services of a CPA. So you're going to want to have somebody that you can align with and refer. They don't necessarily have to be an employee or a partner, but have that power of that association, so that when they need something that would require the services of CPA, you have the go-to CPA in your network. In addition, there may be a situation where one of your clients has a tax issue that comes up, and that CPA may be the right person, or you might want to find somebody who is an expert in dealing with the IRS that you have in your network as well. And it's very important, because you want to make sure that you're providing every service possible to your customer. And so, again, there's power of association in those affiliated services versus just focusing on what you do. But when focusing on what you do, you want to bring in other people that can do the daily detail work, so that you can become the manager and maintain that relationship and do the review, but then also be able to expand your business. And, you started off the comment about the fact that you have several customers that are bringing inside in-house controllers into their business. Well, that's probably the nature of their success. You're helping them succeed, and maybe their business is growing to the point where they need somebody, on location. So that's something to celebrate with them. And that, and that's the time to, again, ask them for referrals, ask them for testimonials, so that you can demonstrate the fact that you've helped them get to that point where they now have to hire someone inside. That's all expansion, growth, and success. So look at it from that perspective, that you're helping these companies move, and maybe even create some metrics and say, 30% of the companies I started with have now grown to the point where they have in-house people, and it will be a testament to what you do and how you do it. So I think that's good news. And next question. I have no name here, but I'm an insurance agent in Montana. I have an assistant who works with me, but otherwise I work alone. I'm near retirement age, and I'm not really looking to add additional staff to my business. That's good to know. Everybody's different, but I find I'm spending more time than desirable talking to referrals that do not ultimately enroll in services. I want to maintain and continue to expand on the number of referrals that I need to stay busy, but I also need a better way to sift through referrals and leads so I can pay more attention to the ones most likely to become clients. I'm sure there are easy ways of doing this, but I'm old school, and when I research, I'm overwhelmed by what is out there. Your advice would be much appreciated. I have 2 years to maximize my earning opportunity. Well, I don't know your name, so insurance agent in Montana. Let me just share with you that it sounds like you enjoy working alone. Sounds like it, and you don't want to expand that much, but you do have an assistant. And so again, let's talk about, as opposed to having additional people, maybe having that business system. And like my husband is an attorney, and he now works on companies he wants to. So he's quasi-retired, and certainly not retired, but quasi. And we have a system here. So when people call, our assistant, Greta, will take them through a checklist of questions to see if we need to refer them to someone else, or if it's something that Michael can help them with. And so creating that system is very important. And you have an assistant, so training that assistant to be your mini-me and talking to people before it gets to you. Now here in my office, I have Greta, I have Angela, I have Melanie, people that know to go through that process. So a lot of people call them gatekeepers, but I like to call it, filters, so that your time is maximized on those things that will generate revenue for you. And so my recommendation is, probably when you talk about frustration of having a lot of people that don't get to actually using your services, a lot of them probably have asked the same questions. And so write those down. And then in addition to having your assistant be able to do it on the telephone with them, maybe on your website, you actually have a series of questions that people can go through as an intake process, that so it saves their time and your time. And so all of those come back to systems. Systems are part of your assets. You know, your business is an asset, but your business becomes a bigger and more valuable business when you have assets within it. And those business systems are assets. And that's what helps you keep, and it helps you have that competitive advantage in the long run. And it makes your life easier because, again, it's easier to manage systems than it is to manage people. Always easier to manage systems than it is to manage people. And so let's see, who's next? Joseph. I'm employed by a technology support center. I am providing scripts and specific steps for helping people when they call in, but have found that I can be more helpful if I ad lib in certain situations. I've approached my direct supervisor about this, but she does not seem too interested in rocking the boat. This is not my business and I have not worked here very long, but I want to do a good job and actually be helpful to the people who call. But I don't want to sabotage my relationship with my direct supervisor by going over her head. I know you usually answer questions for people about their own business, but I would like to know what you would do in a situation where you are someone lower in the chain of command working for someone else and would like to improve how the company works. Well, Joseph, this is kudos to you. You're being entrepreneurial within your employee position. But hence part of the frustration of being an entrepreneur as an employee is the fact that the systems, the business that you are working in, the systems that have been created for you to follow sound like they're script based. And the biggest thing you can do is start giving feedback. And I wouldn't do it in an antagonistic way, but you more than likely have weekly or monthly meetings where you can share things that you have found to be successful that might be able to be incorporated in the script so that your ability to fine tune how you better serve the client can then be incorporated into the company-wide system. Now, I'm going to tell you that that doesn't always work. Same thing happens in franchise situations. Somebody buys a franchise and then they want to change and do things their own way. Well, that's not what happens in a franchise world. In a franchise world, you're committing on the dotted line that you're going to follow the system as it is dictated. And that's it's a provenly successful system. And that's what you're buying. And so even within a franchise world, franchisees can come up with better ideas and they're talked to at the corporate level. And then if they are incorporated, they're incorporated for everyone. And so you have that same opportunity here. And, you know, sometimes an immediate supervisor can be somewhat comfortable in the way things are happening. And so part of that is that communication ability to be able to share things that have worked and then help them be part of it. Help them be part of the new ideas so that they don't feel like you're going over their head. And I wish you a lot of luck because, again, when it's human communication, there's always two sides and it's always an interesting situation. You know, your supervisor may have been very, very successful in that company by using the systems that you currently employ. And so take a step back and think about it. And you said you haven't been with that company very long. So take time to listen and hear what other people are saying about what does work and see if there's a way for you can find a happy medium. So I'm happy to see you, Tracy. Happy to have you with you, Shantan. Oh, love it. So happy everybody's here. And here's my last question that I have that was submitted, and it's investing to scale. And it's from Jessica. I launched my business 3 years ago making natural personal care products. I have 3 people working for me at this time out of a small facility near my home. In order to grow, I need to be able to produce more. To make this happen, I need to find financing and move to a larger facility and hire more people. Okay, well, that's all good news in the fact that you're in a position of growth. I'm confident that I will be able to continue to grow, but I'm afraid that if I get the big facility and additional staff and I don't hit capacity quickly enough, I'm spending money on overhead that I didn't need. It's a very valid concern. It's terrifying to think of burdening myself with a huge long-term commitment, but I also don't want to have to move again in a couple of years. What would you be thinking about to help you make the decision on what to do? Well, Jessica, there's a lot of questions in here. And first and foremost is congratulations on being in that growth period, because it's exciting when you see your businesses grow. And maybe there's an interim step. Maybe there's an interim step finding somebody in your area that has a facility that they've taken on that's bigger than they can handle. And maybe you can sublet some space that won't make you have that long-term commitment where you can start growth and therefore not take the big leap into the much bigger facility. That's one thing to look at. And maybe there's someone else who's producing products that you can actually outsource the production of your products to a facility that's existing with your specifications and your quality control. We talk about that all the time. Basically you're licensing someone to produce the products for you. And that way you have the ability to utilize other people's resources, other people's people, other people's time, other people's money. So you may want to look at that. Because the world is one where, when you have to start with a bricks and mortar type environment and hire facilities and equipment and people, it makes it longer to market. So I would consider looking at those opportunities in other, in your geographic location, what other companies are there that you could align with, and then look for some sublet space that could be an interim step for you, because you want to make sure that growth is sustainable. And it sounds like you've got some great people working for you already that can help you tackle that next environment. Now, I don't know, one of the things that's not in here is your production time. It's important to analyze your production time, because again, that impacts your cash flow analysis. When you have to outlay cash for materials in order to produce your products, how long does it take to make the product, and then market the product, ship the product, and get paid for the product? So what is that, from soup, nuts to bolts, from getting the raw materials, buying the raw materials, to selling the product and getting paid? What is that turn cycle for you? And it's important to make sure you're looking at the timing of your money, because so many times in companies, that's what causes them problems. Success can actually be a problem if you're not financed properly. And so you want to make sure you pay attention to that. And as you grow, you don't put yourself in a situation where you can't sleep at night because you've overextended yourself. But it sounds to me like you've taken off. And again, along with what you're doing here, don't forget to continue looking for marketing partners. So if we do step into that larger facility, it's so important to continue building and expanding your marketing partners so that you can continue facilitating that growth. I've talked before about, as an entrepreneur, you're the one in the driver's seat and you have your foot on the accelerator, and you get so excited about your growth and you're driving your business. And then you have to take a step back to think about employees, or what happened last year. What was going on. Somebody had a fight in the warehouse, and all of a sudden your foot's coming off that accelerator, and you start seeing it in your sales. So don't forget to bring in the people to help you and to make sure that you're still focusing on the growth of the business, because it takes a lot when you're talking about a new facility. A lot of your time is going to go into the actual facilitation of creating that new facility, and make sure you've got other people driving sales if it's not you, because that's so important to continue growing it. And if you have people that want to buy product, you can get written orders from them. A bank may be able to support you and loaning you some money on those orders. And that's something that can help you finance that. But you want to make sure that those orders are solid, and it can help you understand what your growth and your forecasting is very important. And it's something that I just think at the end of the day, congratulations, because that means you're in a growth phase. And the whole topic of today, as we've been talking to Robert and to the other Sharon, Richard, and our insurance agent from Montana, and Joseph as the employee, all of this is thinking outside the box. you know, stepping outside your own time. How can you make this about systems and leverage that allow you to grow your business either through marketing or through associations, other people working for you with strong written agreements, employees, making sure they understand the system of what needs to happen, because those systems are, if they're written, it's much easier to manage systems than it is to manage people. And then also to always look at how you're continuing to grow your business, because as the overhead grows, you need to make sure your sales continue to grow so that that overhead is funded by new business. We used to have a thing, if we wanted to buy something for our company, we had to find new revenue to cover it. It was a kind of game. We could have written something, a checkout for something, but we said, no, let's challenge ourselves to find new opportunities for marketing and for revenue that will allow us to purchase what we want to continue growing the business. And so again, we're at the end of the half hour, and I just want to reach out to all of you and tell you that we are so excited with the feedback that we're getting from the Ask Sharon series. Again, every week we're talking about playing big, things that I'm doing to play big, and so that you can just be number one in your field, live your legacy, and create maximum impact. And for all of you here in the Arizona area, I'd love to invite you to join me. I'm speaking this evening to the Wednesday Night Club here in Phoenix, and it's at the Orange Tree Golf Club, and it's this evening. So Angela's going to put some information. And then this Saturday, I'm speaking at an event called the Meltdown in the Desert, and that's a digital marketing summit down in Gilbert, Arizona. So both of those events, I'm excited, looking forward to it. Information is on my Facebook page and my website, and Angela's going to be posting some information about those in the comments. But I'm so excited that all of you came. And Kishore, yes, pre-orders can help get investors. Yep, that's exactly what we were talking about. And Greg, I love to see you. I love having you come back all the time. So I think at this point, I want to wish you all a beautiful, wonderful week. Invite you to come see me and join us tonight and on Saturday as we continue playing big together, because it's all we're all in this world together. And so it's something that we can support each other by leveraging and playing big. And I'm really excited. Our podcast launched last week. We've had such great feedback. And we are, along with the podcast, for now, some of our guests, we're actually having private conversations within the private Facebook group. So I really encourage you, please share that, because I really want this to be a place where we can support and work together and have those private conversations. And so that's the Play Big Movement with Sharon Lechter, our private Facebook page. As the podcast is launched on iTunes, it's also available through SharonLechter.com/podcast. And then in the private Facebook group, a segment just for you. So please help me spread the word, help join this movement as we continue working to help each other create the success that we deserve. Success, significance, and legacy. Thank you. Have a beautiful day.